Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me on the From Nowhere to Somewhere podcast. My name is Luke Staton. The reason behind this creation is to share words of wisdom, hope and optimism through conversation that can show us just what's possible in life. I've been truly inspired by the words I've not only listened to, but deeply heard from the people I've shared conversations with. I hope you enjoy hearing how everyday people overcome trials and tribulations, and when faced with adversity, find a way to use this to their advantage. Common theme throughout, from all the different guests on the series, from wherever they are from, whatever beginning, whatever background, is they all have a desire for more from life. They all want to live a life of fulfillment. I hope you enjoy listening as much as I do creating. Thank you for joining me. I arrived today in Lincoln at the Waterstones bookshop, and I already had scripted and planned of something I want to talk about from a wonderfully inspiring quote that I came across this week. I want to share a little bit more depth with you. However, as I sat down, this wonderful young man here, Olly, 19 years of age, studying at Lincoln University, we started to engage in a conversation. I thought, wouldn't it be a spontaneously wonderful thing to do to let Olly take over the Wednesday Words of Wisdom, because he's got way more wisdom than me, and I'm 26 years older than him. Some of the books he's reading now and already read, I've only just come across myself, so he's way ahead of the game. And what was really inspirational to me is that it's not often you meet people of such a young age with such an incredible growth mindset. So I'm going to let Olly take over before I get too excited. So firstly, Olly, welcome to Wednesday's Words of Wisdom.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes to coming on here.
It's all right.
Like sat opposite a coffee table reading a book, and the next minute...
I wasn't expecting this when I woke up this morning, I'll be honest.
So tell the room a little bit about yourself. Tell the group a bit about yourself, where you're from and what you're doing here at university.
Okay, so I'm currently here studying at university in Lincoln, taking criminology. I'm from Essex, but... yes, it's quite far away, but I kind of did that on purpose because I think I wanted to live my own life and I didn't want to be tied to where I come from, really. But yeah, no, I went to school in Essex, and I didn't really have a very good time there. And throughout my time at school, and even before school, even before secondary, when I was like 10 or so years old, I always got on better with people that were older than me. And that's because I just find that my views on life, my opinions are quite, like, when I was younger I was told I was quite mature for my age. I guess I'm not really told that now because I'm a young adult, basically. It's not really that possible. But I didn't have a good time at school, and I used to just sit around kind of wasting my life, really. But I kind of discovered online about a particular lifestyle called a dopamine detox, which is basically cutting out the bad habits and replacing them with good ones. So cutting out maybe eating a lot of junk food and wasting a lot of time going out. Instead, I do a lot of reading, and I'm into meditation, more like spiritual things. And through reading books and taking online courses, I found that I was just able to become a lot more confident in myself. And I think that is how I've ended up kind of, like, I don't drink a lot and I don't go out a lot because I find that I'd rather work hard now to make my future better. And I think that is something that is lost today, because a lot of people, they do what other people want them to do, which is to just have fun now. You're young, but this is like, yes, we are young, but in my opinion, this is a time where I've got the most energy that I'll ever have in my life. I'm the most able. I go to university, I've got a few lectures, but I've got a lot more free time than I would if I just picked a 9-to-5 job. And I think that is something that a lot of people take for granted, and I want to take advantage of this time. So I'm doing, as I've said, what I do, but I think that because this is a view that not many people have, I've struggled to kind of meet people here who are like-minded, because as we spoke about before this, it's not very it's not a very common view, especially these days.
when everyone's going out partying, you're coming to Waterstones to the
exactly.
bookshop. Yeah, and you mentioned there that you found school quite tough, and as we talked about earlier, I work with a lot of young people, and a lot of young people do find school tough, and it's often not the academic side that they find tough, it's the people
social,
side.
yeah.
And what did you find tough about school?
I just found it difficult making friends, really, because I was picked out, and because, as I said, I've always been quite like mature, and people found that a bit strange that I would have views that people 2-3 years older than me wouldn't really have, and so I couldn't really, on like an intellectual level, I guess, I couldn't really connect with other people, and like as we spoke about, a lot of people are just going out, and I read this quote somewhere that you're not friends, you're just friends with the same drug, and the drug could be, it's not necessarily a literal drug, but it's just something that people get addicted to, and they share, like they bond over, and the argument is that if you took away that negative drug, which is something usually going out clubbing or playing video games together or taking literal drugs, then they wouldn't be friends. So like, for example, if you may have had a group of friends, or you know of a group of people who just sit at home playing video games together all day, if that never existed, then they wouldn't be friends, because it's probably what they bond over. And I think that if you are to bond over something like a drug, then it should at least be something positive. So maybe you all play the same sport together, or you will go to the gym, or you're all interested in the same kind of topic, and you have the same views on life, and that's more positive. That's things that you bond over, but they're not going to negatively affect your future.
So when you was at school and you said that, you know, you found it tough because you thought like this and not many did, was that the reason that you found it challenging to get on with people, do you think now?
Yeah, I think so. I think that because my views, because of how I view life, and that I'm willing to risk, like, sacrifice the present moment for the future. That's not a very common, it's not a very common thing
for many people, not just youngsters,
yeah.
For adults too. And often we're looking for that, you know, that short-term dopamine hit, aren't we? Of a stimulant or scroll, or you know, when I said to you, you're on Instagram, you're on no social media, and that's a real powerful thing because of the distraction that it can cause if you don't use it properly, and the dopamine hit of the scroll and the likes and the hits. So when you look back now from 19 to when you was younger at school, how do you feel about seeing yourself back at school? Because you mentioned to me earlier you got picked on as well when you, so it weren't just that you didn't socially fit in because of your maturity and the way you was articulating life. You felt that you got picked on, you got bullied at school too. What message would you give to that younger person? Because younger people will watch this too, and parents will watch this that have got children like yourself at school that maybe aren't fitting in. So what advice would you give to that younger Ollie that's at school, that's going through tough times, and maybe parents that listen to this can share it with their children?
Maybe, I think that looking back, me personally, it's not really what I would advise, but I'm happy it happened to me, because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I think that if I didn't have a tough time at school, I'd probably be more prone to just doing what other people want me to do. But I'd say that for people who are in similar positions, you just want to, like, in the grand scheme of things, if you're struggling 2-3 years, it isn't really that long, and you will come out the other side more mature than the people who you didn't get on with. And a lot of people who tend to give other people a hard time, they're not the type who try very hard in school and they don't really care about it. So like me personally, in my personal experience, I had a tough time from year 9, year 10, year 11. But then when I went to college, I went to a sixth form. So my college was attached to the secondary I went to. And the guys who were giving me a hard time, they simply just didn't get in to the college. But I'll just say that you want to focus on yourself and do things that in a few years' time you'll be happy you did. So you want to like, for example, maybe we're sat in the Waterstones at the moment, just like learn and improve, like start, maybe go to the gym, learn your social skills, because there will come a point in time where you'll be in a position at a job where one of these guys will be coming to your place of work asking for a job, and you'll know who they are, and you'll be able to say no because you've put in the work now and you've obtained this position in the workplace, and they're just getting on their feet, and they're the ones who look back and think, why did I treat this guy that way when I was younger? But yeah, I think it's just important to remember what isn't key makes you stronger, and once you get out of that situation, you'll look back on it with gratitude, because you'll realise that it's hard times like that make you more mature, because hard times create weak men create bad times, etc.
So really you've used your adversity as your advantage.
Yes.
And you're grateful for that tough time now.
100%, yeah.
It's the challenge is when young people are in that tough time because of how anxious they might feel of going to school because they're getting bullied, and I'd love you just to share some wisdom with parents of what, because as a parent of three, like my eldest daughter says 3 years older than you, right? And I've got a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. If my kids are going through tough stuff at school, especially the younger ones, what advice would you give to me as a parent to help my children cope? Because it's nothing harder than a parent of your kids going through tough stuff.
Yes,
probably feel worse than the child that's going through it. Because like when you was going through it, was your family aware of you was going through it?
Yeah, they were, yeah.
And so how would you advise parents to support their children that are getting bullied at school? What would you think they can do?
I think it kind of depends on, obviously it depends on like the context and who, like me personally, I'm a boy, and I had my mum telling me that, oh, it's going to be okay, and X, Y, Z. Obviously it is, but I think that like my dad was a bit more just stick up for yourself kind of thing, and I think to an extent that's what you need to hear, because it's a good question really. If I had kids and they were in a similar situation, I think I would literally just make it clear that you will be out of that situation, because obviously when you're young, like when you're in year 7 or year 8, you think that you're mature, and then when you get to something like year 11, year 12, you look back and think, wow, I was just like, I was a little kid back then. And so your kids are going to be under the impression that this is like the be all or end all. This is a big part of their life.
And how it's going to be.
Yes, and how it's going to be. But 2 years down the line, or as soon as they leave school, they're going to look back and think, or a few years down the line, they're going to look back and think, that was just a small portion of my life. And they just you need to ensure to them that, or make sure that the experience they have now don't detriment their future. Because I found that, because I struggled at school, I didn't really want to talk to people, because I felt that if I surrounded myself with more individuals, then I'd end up in the same kind of position. But first off, that's never really the case. But that's how I felt, and it's just important to make sure to make it clear to them that that isn't the case, because as I said, they think that if you have a hard time at school, you think that you're the one in the wrong, and you think it's because you're different, and if this small group of people think you're different, then everyone's going to think you're different. But in hindsight, looking back, I know they're the different ones. They're the ones who weren't behaving in a normal way. But as I said, I'm grateful, because I look back now and I think if I wasn't, I guess, it matured me, I guess. And I find that if I wasn't matured through doing that, I'd be in a position now where I'd probably just be living like every other teenager, and I wouldn't. And what it boils down to is that I wouldn't have discovered about this dopamine detox lifestyle, and that is what I think truly changed it for me.
Yeah.
Changed my life.
So I think from a parent, and what you're saying is to let them know it's short-lived. It will pass.
Yes.
To keep loving and supporting them.
Yes.
Knowing that they've got someone there with them.
Yeah, they're not,
through that journey. They're not the ones. They're not the ones that are different. It's the other ones, and different's great.
Yeah.
As well.
Whatever they do, just make sure that the child doesn't detriment their future. So, for example, I didn't, during the hardest times, I'd take time off school, and I think that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, because you're missing out on valuable time to learn, and which are lessons that could.
And it's still there when you go back, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's
just delaying it. You need to face it. Yeah. Face it as it is.
I like
face
that.
First, instead of pushing it back. Because like when I took time off, that was just like that was just more ammo they could use against me, that I took time off because I'm scared of them. And it just makes the situation worse.
Anxiety builds because you're going back to it, don't you? And
yes.
And so the third option then, that third bit, I'm just trying to put it into categories in my mind. Of the third bit would be to face it with more skills and strategies and techniques to overcome it, knowing that it's not you, it's them.
Yes.
When I've worked with young people that are getting bullied, I've always used like what you're saying, which is really interesting, around that it's not you, it's them. Show empathy for where it's coming from, and understanding that actually it's them with the challenge, not you.
Yeah.
And if people are coming at you, you've got something to offer to the world, because you're a threat to them in some way. And I think sometimes when you can shift that mindset, it allows you to cope with it, doesn't it?
Yeah, a lot of it boils down to just jealousy.
Yeah.
Because they see you not following the norm, and they see you being yourself, and that makes them upset, and they take it out on you because of it.
What's one thing you'd like to share for Wednesday's words of wisdom before we say goodbye? And thank you so much to everybody for listening and watching, and thank you so much to you, young man. You've been exceptional. We could sit and we've done 15 minutes. We could do hours of this. We could do a proper episode on the podcast. You've got so much there that I could draw out and share with more parents, young people, and there'll be lots of CEOs, entrepreneurs, managing directors watching this. And I'm telling you now, they'll be messaging me saying, "What a guy!
I hope so.
What a guy! What a guy! What job does he want?" Because the good thing I've noticed about entrepreneurs and good CEOs and business owners, that they've got a gift for spotting great people. And you're definitely in that category. You are definitely in that category. We've been here for an hour now. You are definitely in that category. And great people want great people around them. And I think one of the challenging things for you through your life is that you've been thinking so articulately about yourself and your life that people of your age haven't been at that level yet.
Yes.
But in 20 years, they will be. You're 20 years ahead of the game. And people that are watching this will be like, I need him in my circles. Because a 19-year-old thinking the way that you do already, in an organisation, in a company that needs new innovative thinking, you're a dream. You're a dream.
Thank you.
So last lines from you.
I'd say focus on working hard now to make your life in the future easier, and just don't stop. I think constantly learning. I want to be a lifelong learner, me personally, and I think that don't just waste time, because an hour you lose now is an hour you wish you had when you're on your deathbed, and that's how I view it. I think
make the most of every day.
Yes, make the most of every day. Me personally, I write down the night before, like a schedule that I follow. Like I've got a list of things that I want to do each day, and I plan the next day, trying to fit that all in. And I've got, like, for example, I've got my first lecture today over 12. I woke up at 8, and I've got a morning routine that I follow, because I think it's important to get habits, which is spoken about in the book Atomic Habits, which we spoke about earlier, that we both read, and that's, I think it's important to just be productive and be consistent, because sacrifice it now and the rewards will come to you later on.
And the last thing I want to say, what I loved about what you said earlier, pre-record, is that you cannot justify wasting your time at university knowing that your family have invested in you to come to university, and you want to give it your best and give it all that you've got as a thank you really to them.
I think if you, we spoke about it, me and a few people probably months ago now, talking about the value of just like an hour lecture comes out to around £60 an hour, and that, like, you have people turn up, like, because it's laid out, so at the start of a lecture the attendance code is put on the board, you put it in to say, it's kind of like a register, and people turn up outside the door, get messaged by their friend what the attendance code is, then leave, and then just probably sit in bed for an hour, and that is money wasted that your parents worked hard for. And what I want to do is pay my parents back for raising me in financially, or however seems fit, pay them back, because at the end of the day they're the reason why I'm here now, and they're the reason that I'm not, like, I've got the views on life that I do, because the views that you have is kind of reflect, like, you learn through your family, don't you?
And I'm very confident that you'll be paying them back in more ways than just monetary, because the pride that they must have of their son maximising your opportunity will definitely bring pride as a parent. For me, my daughter, or my sons and my daughters gave me money when they're older. I mean, that'd be wonderful. But seeing them shine and being appreciative of what you've done for them as a parent by their success is what makes you really proud as a parent. And when I mean success, it's not what you go on to achieve, it's the person you often become. And what a guy you are. Thank you so much for taking the time, mate.
It's good.
Brilliant, great conversation. Thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Really appreciate it. Episode 2.
Thank you so much for listening and being part of the From Nowhere to Somewhere podcast. I'd be really honoured, grateful, and super appreciate any shares and subscribes possible. Please give this to any family, friends, and loved ones anywhere in the world that you feel could take value from what you've just heard too. Thank you so much for your support. I look forward to speaking to you real soon on the next episode. From me to you, have a wonderful day. Take care. All my love, energy, inspiration. Luke Staton.